Hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Cabotsaurus Rex, and tonight we're going to be playing a game called Do Not Take This Cat Home. Now this goes against every fiber of my being. Anytime I've ever seen a stray cat, I've wanted to take it home. But we'll see. The game comes with some trigger warnings, so we'll be going over that before we actually do gameplay. So if you're appreciating the moderately more than mediocre content, do me a huge favor. Take the like button, wrap it up in a cozy blanket, and use the subscribe button as its comfort cuddle. And with that being done, we're going to get started. Says, please take care of yourself. Oh, this do be loud. But that's just my headphones. Let's see. Now, I'm going to do about content and trigger warnings. Does contain spoilers. So, wow. Okay, so, trigger warning. Abuse and abusive relationships, agoraphobia, amnesia, amputation or dismemberment, animal abuse, animal death, animals, monsters eating humans, anxiety/social anxiety, blood and gore, body horror, body injury, cannibalism. What? Child abuse, a minor mention or hint of, cosmic horror, dead bodies and body parts, death, dying, decapitation, depression, dissociation, doll animation, emotional abuse, entrapment, epilepsy warning, flashing images, and light static, glitches, hallucinations, heart attack, intrusive thoughts, isolation. Jesus! Thalassophobia? Sacopophobia? What is sacopophobia? Okay, so, yeah, if you've been warned. You're not having a great day as usual. Oh, great. It's the first time in a while you've felt like going out. But in the middle of your walk, it starts to rain. Typical, but maybe this is just a sign that you should have stayed in home today. Yeah, you can always try again tomorrow, right? You turn to head home when... Oh, huh? What was that? There are only a few people around on the street. Makes sense due to the increase of missing persons around the area recently. Well, that and the weather. But none of them react to the sound at all. Curiosity guiding your steps, you follow the sound to the entrance of a dark, dingy alleyway. You timidly enter the alley and walk forward. The ground dampened by the rain makes your steps sound louder and more confident than you actually feel. Aww. Finally, the sound source comes into view in the cold, dim light of the alley. At the end of the alley, in a big cardboard box, is a cat. Huh. Guess that should have been obvious. It's an interesting looking cat. Its pretty yellow eyes shine like gold among the dark sea of its black fur. It puts its front paws up on the edge of the box and looks up at you. Oh, so cute! And it definitely knows it. You've never had much of an opinion one way or another about cats before. But if they're all like this one, it's a shock they haven't found a way to rule the world. You don't think you'd mind bowing down to a feline overlord. You look around the alley with a small frown. Who leaves cats in cardboard boxes these days anyway? Wouldn't they just jump out and leave the box eventually? The cat doesn't answer you, obviously. It also doesn't do as you suggest and leave the box. It's just looking at you, as if waiting for you to make the next move. All right. So first thing, we're gonna not take the cat home. With a sigh, you take a decisive step back. As cute as the cat is, you really can't afford to be taking in a pet on a whim. Rent's coming up soon, and your job doesn't exactly leave you rolling in dough. You give the cat a sad nod. Sorry, good luck out there, okay? You turn around and leave the cat in the alley behind. Rain's picking up. Time to head home. Ending? Nyatafool! Alright. This episode is brought to you by Lisa's Long-Lasting Lip Lush. It's long-lasting, especially when wrapped around somebody else's. Gonna skip. This time we take the cat home. You know what? You reach into the box and pick the cat up, holding it in front of you. Why not? You're all alone, and well, I'm kind of in the same boat myself, so you bring the cat close. You didn't realize it was shivering until just then, but it slowly breathes easier as it presses into your chest. Why not stick together, right? At least for a little while. Aww. You think a little while will probably be more like a day. You'll be responsible and take it to a shelter tomorrow, but for now, let's get you out of the rain, okay? You stop by a small local pet store for some cat food, then head back home. You live in a modest apartment. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 1 you living alone in it. So it feels weird having another living being inside it after so long. Even if it is just a cat. It's never just a cat. After locking the front door and placing the cat on the floor, you watch for a moment as it curiously explores the new environment. Leaving the feline to its own devices, you set about making the both of you some dinner. You take out the can of cat food and open it with the tab on top. You put some cat food on a saucer and click your tongue to call the cat over to you. It perks up at your beckoning and rushes over. It looks at the plate of food. And completely ignores it. Not hungry, I guess. You try not to let it annoy you. The cat doesn't understand the concept of money to appreciate that you've spent your hard-earned cash on it. It's just a cat, after all. I'll just leave it here if you get hungry later, okay? The cat rubs its body against your legs with a purr. You smile. That's enough of a thanks for you. It follows you into the kitchen as you start on your own dinner. You decide that you've had enough ingredients for a sandwich. Bread toasted, mayo and mustard spread, turkey and cheese and lettuce perfectly placed. Tomato Ow! You wince as you cut your finger on the knife while slicing a tomato. Stupid. You feel a little embarrassed for such a blunder and sigh, tossing the knife onto the cutting board. You're about to head to the bathroom for a bandage when the cat hops up onto the counter. It sniffs at the knife and meows it almost pointedly at you. Don't worry, I'm all right. It was just an... You watch as the cat starts to lick lightly but enthusiastically at the blood on the knife. At your blood. You're so shocked by the time that you come to your senses, the knife has been completely licked clean. The cat sits back, staring at you. You feel a little uneasy. Sure, cats are meat-eating predators, but that was a little weird. Right? Sure, you're no cat expert, but that was definitely not something an ordinary cat would do. Right? Well, regardless, you're not about to abandon a cat in need while it's still raining outside, not after all your efforts. You were going to take it to the shelter tomorrow anyway. What's one night of awkwardness? Weird or not, it's just a cat. The rest of the evening, unfortunately, goes downhill from there. Even after covering up your fingers cut with a bandage, the cat keeps trying to lick at the wound. While you're eating your sandwich, while you're cleaning up the kitchen, while trying to watch TV... You gently push it away every time, but you're starting to get worried at the strange behavior. What if it's got a taste for blood and thinks you're food now? You're not sure what you'll do if it starts to get more aggressive. You keep thinking about the cat food sitting in the corner, untouched. Come on, enough already. You shove it away a little more forcefully this time out of annoyance. You feel bad immediately, but before you can do anything, the cat meows sharply at you and then dashes off around the corner and into the hall. You sigh deeply. At this point, you're just worried that it's going to take a bite out of you in your sleep. Maybe Yvette will have an idea on how to calm it down. You can only hope. You don't have many other options left other than tossing the cat out in the rain. After finding the number of a local vet, you pick up your landline and the lights just went out? Oh, great. Rain must have knocked out the power. You check your cell phone only to find that it's out of battery. You must have forgotten to charge it before leaving earlier. The outing had been so spur of the moment that it had no doubt messed with your usual routine. You grab a flashlight to turn it on. It's quiet. It's too quiet. Did the rain stop? But then why did the power go out? You look outside. The sky is pitch black. What time is it? You turn to check the clock. Oh, that's fun. Kill! The cat sits on top of your digital clock, staring at you. Thinking now, you realize the clock shouldn't be working at all with the power outage, but the numbers are lit up and going completely haywire. The cat stares at you, completely still. You'd think it was a statue if you didn't know any better. It's not giving off any indication that it's alive. Not blinking, not even breathing, but its eyes. This isn't normal. You're afraid. You want to run, but you're afraid of letting the cat out of your sight. You consider tossing the cat out after all. But as soon as the thought enters your head, you feel a sharp urge to vomit. Those eyes, its eyes hold you still. Even with your flashlight trained on it, its pupils are large, round, inky pits. The flashlight flickers. And the cat is gone. Fear immediately grips your mind. The silence punctuated with a rapid pumping of blood in your heart is overwritten as your ears slowly start to pick up the sound of static all around you. How is the clock working with no power? You don't know why such a question matters at the moment. But you feel as if having the answer will make sense out of everything that's happening. That order will be restored. But no answer comes to mind. You back away from the clock and feel as the air itself coils tightly and abruptly in response, like a predator prepared to pounce, but waiting for your next move. But you're afraid to move. You're afraid to even take a breath. But you can't stay still forever, right? Whatever is watching you, you can already feel its impatience. It's too eager. You don't know how you know this, but you can sense it as clearly as if it had whispered. Ooh! Let's play. Right into your ear. Right into your soul. It won't let you wait it out. Not that you could, even if it did. You can't stay here. You have to run. With this thought, a sudden primal instinct awakens within you, making you tear yourself into a hasty burst of movement, of action. But you're still weak from fear's grip on your mind. Your legs tangle together under you in your haste, and you fall to the ground. A sharp pain explodes in the center of your foot. At first you think you've broken your ankle, but something warm and wet trickles down the length of your foot, pooling underneath it. You hear the sound of metal scraping on tiles after skidding across the floor as if it had been kicked. Winded from your fall, you look up in a daze and see the object glinting in a strange light coming in from outside. The light pouring in from your now open front door. Thoughts of how, when, who, what in regards to your inexplicably open door screech to a halt as your brain finally identifies the metallic object you've been staring at. It's your kitchen knife. It's still tinted red from your earlier blunder, but that's not right. Wasn't it completely licked clean by the... You grip dryly at the pain in your foot. You barely have time to wonder how the knife ended up on your living room floor to be stepped on, instead of resting on your cutting board in the kitchen where you'd left it. When you spy something in the darkness just beyond the knife, it spies right back at you. A pair of glowing golden eyes come forward as the cat emerges from the windows into the light from your doorway. It pads lightly over to the knife, as if skipping in delight, and bends down to lap the blood dripping from the blade. Your senses slowly begin to overwhelm you. The chill of the air as it starts to suffocate you under its weight. The sound of your shaky breaths, discordant against the static now piercing your skull. The dryness on your tongue spreading to your throat. The incomprehensible sight of the stray you'd taken in, licking away at your kitchen knife, once again completely clean. The scent of blood from the fresh wound on your foot. Blood? Golden eyes slide up to you as if in response to your sudden realization. Blood. You're hurt. Your foot is bleeding. You're bleeding. You're bleeding. The cat barely moves, shoulders twitching as if just considering the act of pouncing forward. But you're already on your feet and out the door. You run, or limp, down to the empty street. The sky is black and bleeding red. But there's a strange light emitting from nowhere that casts everything else in white. The houses, the trees, the road, even you. Everything. Except your blood. You can just barely glimpse the bloody imprints on your injured foot. Let's try that again. You can just barely glimpse the bloody imprints your injured foot leaves in the wake, with every impact it makes on the ground. It hurts. It hurts. But you can't stop. You don't stop. Not when the shadows grow around you. Not when you feel the gaze of eyes all over you. Not when the road ahead of you is darkened by the long shadow of something behind you. Even then, you don't stop running, because if that's the cat right there ahead of you, then what in the world is behind you? Let's look behind us. Huh? Interesting. How very, very interesting. It begins. Oh! Continue. You're walking. Right, of course. It's the first time in a while, and you're actually glad that you did. The weather is absolutely perfect today. That's a good sign, right? Maybe your luck is finally starting to turn around. You tentatively allow yourself to feel excited for the possibilities of where you could go or what you could do. And maybe even who you could meet. You're so deep in thought that you almost miss it. Huh? What was that? Curiosity guiding your steps. You follow. The sunlight only just manages to reach down in between the tall buildings on either side. You timidly enter the alley and walk forward, the loose gravel and scattered debris on the ground softening your steps. Finally, the sound source comes into view in the warm, almost ethereal light of the alley. At the end of the alley is a big cardboard box.
It's a kitty cat!
Huh, guess that should have been obvious. Aw, it's an interesting looking cat. Pretty yellow eyes shine like gold amongst the dark sea of its black fur. And I have a puppy. And puts its front paws up on the edge of the box and looks at you.
So cute!
You look so familiar, right? Then again, it is a cat. Not many different ways for a standard black cat to look, after all.
This one sure is a cutie, though. Kawaii!
Just look. It's not glaring at you or hissing at you for getting this close like other stray cats have in the past. It's just sitting there patiently, waiting for you to do something.
Don't take it home. Sadly, as cute as the cat is,
You'd never take this thing home with you. You just can't take it home with you. You're a responsible adult. You are, with rent and bills to pay for, not to mention you need to buy food to survive too. There's no way you could care for a cat long term, right? You can barely afford this little outing on your day off. What to do? What's this? You're not ready. Oh, let's try leaving the cat. You don't think it's a good idea to get the cat's hopes up of having someone look after it if you're not willing to commit? What if it gets attached and somehow tracks you down back to your home? You never get away from it? What? All I saw was you'll never get away from it. Catch it in editing. Sorry, see you around, I guess. You stand up, the cat watching your every move. You make it halfway out of the alley when the cat meows almost pitifully at you. You gotta ignore it. Let's see what happens. Nope. Nope. You need to nip this in the bud and get on with your day. It's what's best for the both of you. You leave the alley behind and continue on your way. Wait, what was I doing? In all the excitement of dealing with your furry dilemma, you'd forgotten that you still hadn't decided on what you were going to do on your day off. Let's watch a movie. It's been a while since the film came out that looked interesting enough for you to drag yourself to a movie theater. But there's a showing of one such film that at the old theater. The movie was a little too niche to be picked up by the new cinema that opened right across the street. That's okay though, you're not exactly a fan of the crowds. And nothing ruins the experience of watching a new movie for you more than a noisy audience. Old theater. You eagerly buy your ticket from the kind old man in the booth and head inside. It's barren of any trace of other people and the decor looks like it hasn't changed since the 80s. Maybe even the 70s. Sounds like fun? But it's what you were counting on. You consider buying some popcorn, but can't help but be concerned that everything at the concession stand might be expired. You move on and walk through the halls, finally locating the theater designated on your ticket stub. As expected, the theater your movie will be playing in is completely empty. Perfect. You pick a spot right in the middle, even counting the seats and taking into consideration the gap of the staircase. As you settle in, the dim lights fade away, leaving the room pitch black for a few seconds. Before the screen flickers on, no commercials or trailers pop up, the movie just begins. Pleased, you shrug and let yourself get immersed in the opening scene. But just as you're getting into the premise, the doors open behind you, momentarily casting light into the room and ruining the atmosphere. You hold in a frustrated sigh. It's a public establishment, after all. The place can't exactly afford to stay open if you're the only customer. You try to refocus on the movie, but you sense a new presence slowly shifting around the theater before heading in your general direction. What? You gape in utter disbelief as the stranger shuffles down the aisle only to sit right in front of you. There's no one else here and plenty of spaces to sit. The stranger is also unusually tall. Even with the stadium-like arrangement of the seats being on a somewhat steep incline, they're completely blocking your view. Let's move to another spot. You don't want to risk escalating the situation further. This whole thing is already making you uneasy. Why would they choose to sit right in front of you? Surely they know you wouldn't be able to see past them. Shaking your head with passive-aggressive scoff in the stranger's direction, you reluctantly pick another less perfect seat in the theater. But as you settle down, you see the strange person get up, only to once again sit in the seat directly in front of you. You look around somewhat helplessly as if waiting for someone to silently agree with you about how odd this all is. Or at least inform you that it's all an elaborate prank. But there's no one else here with you. That's how you've always liked it, but you can't help but think that maybe it would be nice to have someone else here if it meant not being alone with this weird jerk. Let's confront the stranger. You hate confrontation.
Me too, buddy.
You can already feel your palms starting to sweat at the idea of it. Your throat's closing up and your body's starting to shake. You've always been more of a flighter than a fighter. But you paid for this ticket. You've wanted to watch this movie for ages. And now this total stranger has ruined the entire experience for you. You're all alone in this theater. There's no one who will help you if something goes wrong. But you're angry enough that you ignore the signs of your body begging you to put as much distance as you can between yourself and this stranger. You stand up, even standing and higher up on the incline. The stranger is still at least a head taller than you. The movie continues to play in the background, but you feel as if a hush immediately falls heavily over the theater at your movement. As if you can sense the stranger anticipating what you plan to do next. You square your shoulders and force a little bass into your voice. Hey! The effort makes your words come out more harshly than you intended, like a sudden and vicious bark. But you figure they deserve it anyway. You're being a real jerk, you know that? Just what are you playing at, huh? Are you trying to piss me off? The silence that follows your words is deafening. So much so that you glance at the screen only to find that the movie has paused. Your attention is ripped back to the stranger in front of you as they shift slightly, like a small animal trying desperately to anticipate the moves of a predator. You don't move an inch. You don't look away. You don't dare to blink. Instead, your eyes widen as the person's head turns, then turns some more. Then turns more beyond what should be possible, neck bones cracking, to face you directly. Wide, glowing eyes resting above a wider, grinning mouth gaze down at you. The stranger opens their mouth and what comes out is something impossible to comprehend. The voice is endlessly deep and creaks like a weighty door, foreboding and oddly metallic. Alluring. But it also snaps you out of your terrified trance, and before you know it, you're already out the door. You run through the halls of the empty theater, heading for the exit. You feel something watching you from behind, but you're too afraid to look. The exit is now in sight. You sprint forward and burst through the doors. You look around frantically and spot the crowded cinema across the street. People, that's what you need, safety in numbers and all that. Without thinking, you rush into the street when a sinking sensation crawls down your spine, compelling you to look behind you. Oh. Despite your resistance, you feel your head turning to look back of its own accord. While in the middle of the street, you catch a glimpse of a grotesque-looking person standing behind the glass doors of the old theater, watching you intensely, cradling something in their arms, something familiar. But your hamburger! A glimpse is all you get as the truck speeds forward and crashes into your body. Oof. You're killed on impact, your body splattered across the road and crushed further under the heavy tires. Poor screening arrangements. We're going to cut it right there. We've had about half an hour. I think that's good enough. Oh, excuse me. I appreciate this is interesting. Like the trigger warnings both make me uneasy and intrigue me. I would love to know how thalassophobia plays into this game, but it does already look like there's some kind of weird psychological things happening. So we'll find out. Thank you for joining me on this entertaining adventure. I look forward to joining me for more. I think. This looks pretty gnarly. Anyway, remember, you are loved, you are important, and you and your feelings are valid. Take good care of yourself, give yourself a hug, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!